Chris Buckler with Estate Agency Mastery. I've got Katy on. It's been hard to get her on for various reasons. We've just been cut off, but we've got you now. So you're an experienced agent. You've just taken the leap to go self-employed, which is, it's been brilliant to follow your journey. But I want some gold, right, Katy? So if you're an agent in Birmingham, Belfast, Bognor Regis, and you're watching this for the next 20 minutes, I want 3 tips from you from over your career. What have you got for us?
Okay, well, firstly, can you make sure your 1-year-old is nowhere near the internet connection?
Yeah, good. Good. The only good thing is the first little bit I thought was pretty rubbish, so we'll redo it and it'll be great, right?
It'll be fine. So my first, but the main tip, which I think is probably the most important one, is treating everyone like they've got £1 million listing. And when I say like everyone, I mean everyone. Like obviously before we got cut off, I mentioned the when I worked for my previous employer, we'd have the window cleaner come round and do our windows, and I'd run upstairs, I'd make him his cup of tea, I know exactly how he liked it, and I'd run out there and I'd make him a cup of tea. It would take me 2 minutes. And even when he wasn't, on days where he wasn't cleaning our windows, you know, I'd still go out there and I'd make the effort to make him a cup of tea. You know, it takes 2 minutes out of your day. I know everyone's busy, but I think stuff like that is really, really important, because you then create raving fans for your business. And it's not just the window cleaner, it's carpet fitters, binmen, postmen, whoever you're dealing with. Just treat them well.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And before I said, how do you do that, you know, and do we have enough time to do it in our day? But ultimately, people don't like estate agents. So if you can be an estate agent that someone likes, and you genuinely show interest, like you say, that raving fans, that referral business, it works, right? What was the story you think you just got on to about the postman?
So our postman, he comes up, he knows my dog's name, he brings him treats. I was talking to him the other day, and he was asking me how I was getting on. And so I was just talking to him, and he said, well, whenever I come to sell, he's not selling, but when I come to sell, I'll be using you. He goes to another estate agents locally, which I won't name, but a well-known agent. And he says he turns up and they've all got these flash cars, and they completely ignore him, and they're so rude to him when they do acknowledge him, that, you know, so as far as he's concerned, they've lost he's, you know, they don't even know this guy. They don't even know this guy has a house to sell. But also this guy talks to a lot of people on his round.
Of course, right? He's going to be the one of the first to know. I mean, we were the same with boardmen. And then we used to have a boardman come in and be like, listen, I've just taken down a board there, but I've only just given notice. You might want to go and knock on that door. Pre-GDPR, in another business, not this agency. So no lawyers get on the phone. But, right, it's that friendly tip-off, or it's that, oh, my mate's thinking of selling and I've gone over and above to tell them to use Katy. But they wouldn't do that if you didn't make him a cup of tea, or if they snarled at you when you came in, right?
But also then thanking them.
I remember in my first year of having a high street, we had no dough whatsoever. But we got a bottle of whiskey for the postman, for the window cleaner, for our landlord, just for everyone to say thank you. And we had no money to do it, but it was you know, but exactly. So I can remember our old postman actually. He'd bring us stuff.
Yeah.
And referral business is easy to get higher fees. You know, you don't have to worry about your pitch so much. So I love that one. I really do. And I often judge people when they go out for dinner on how they speak to the waiter and how they treat them.
Oh, absolutely. They used to say when we had interviews, when they came in, how they deal with the reception staff or somebody on the front line is a good indicator of their personality, because, you know, if they're you know, put your nose down at them or they're rude to them, you know that actually, because it's all very well going into an interview and being, you know, whoever you want to be. And
there's a really good book by a guy who took over the Scandinavian Airlines, and essentially it was what he deemed as the moment of truth, and it was how people rated his whole airline experience based on that first moment of truth at the check-in counter. And the check-in process was really crap. So even though he was like, I can't understand, so he did like an undercover boss thing, and it was the same thing. How you initially speak to someone when you don't know if they can help you or not. You're just nice and you care and you're a people person and you want the best for them. It goes such a long way in a estate agency. It really does.
It really does. I mean, I think in any business that you do, I think it's probably a number one rule. But
Nice. Okay. I love that. I really, really like that. What's your second tip?
second tip is make sure people know what you do.
Yeah. Do you have any
Um,
examples of that?
do you want me to say it?
Yeah, go for it. Hit
Okay.
me.
Are you sure?
Go for it.
Okay. So if people know what you do, then it's easy for them to refer you. So when I left my previous employer, I had quite a few people call me, yourself included, and I actually didn't know what you did. I just knew you as somebody that was at these conferences, and we'd always have, you know, fun, and we'd have a drink, and but I didn't actually know what you did.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important. A second example of this, which is a prime example, is when I decided to make the leap to self-employment, I messaged in my 9-year-old son plays football, and I sent a message in the group because they always ask me, that all the parents, everyone's always interested in the property market, so they always ask me what's going on. So I just messaged in there and said, "Oh, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I've left my previous employer, and I'm starting on my own. I just wanted to make you all aware." And there was one lady in there who I do know quite well, and she said to me, she said, "Oh, if you need an accountant, let me know." Now, in the back of my head, if I go back, I probably knew that that's what she did, but I'd completely forgotten. So I rang her that evening, and she's my accountant.
I love that. So there's two things there, and you're right with me. This is why I'm doing this PR, right? And everyone needs to know that I run a self-employed estate agency model.
Yeah,
Matt and Neil over in Essex, the Bulldog brothers, would be like, "That's all I know you for," but it's so true. And in
yeah,
fact, but the thing is, in my previous world, that we did a survey on, and I say tooth because I'm from Birmingham, but how many toothpaste brands can you remember? And people are like 3, and it's the same with agents. And one of the big things I've taken from American counterparts is we fight for mind share, right? And people will often say at the end of the call, like, "Would you refer me?" And people will go, "Yeah," and then they'll completely forget. Whereas we ask in the business, "Who in your world has a property related requirement I could help?" And it gets them thinking. But when you're fighting for mindshare, if people kind of did know what you did, but they didn't think to stop if someone says, "I'm thinking of selling my house," that's the crux for me. If you're getting your hair done or I'm in the barbers and someone goes, "I'm thinking of selling," let's say I'm not an agent, and I go, "You need to use Katy. She's brilliant." I wouldn't
yeah,
do that if I knew 2 years ago you were an agent and I hadn't kept you up to date and all that. So
yeah.
I couldn't agree more. What's James Bond's job title?
international international spy,
Yeah, he's a secret. What is he? A secret?
secret agent.
Yeah, don't be a secret agent. Everyone needs to know what you do. There we go. I can tell I've used that one a lot, but it's so true. Every single person needs to know what you do, and you need to
Yeah,
wear it with pride, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
And
I
for
think some
sure.
people get worried. Like I know when, because I handled the social media side quite a bit for my previous employer, and I know when I was trying to encourage, because you've got to get to people to want to do it. You can't force people to do anything. So when I was trying to encourage some of the managers or other managers to encourage their teams to use social media, and like share the post or comment or put it on their page, whatever, on their personal profiles, there was an element of some of them, and I particularly remember one of them, they don't like mixing personal and business. But I think I think that's really, really important, like, because that's ultimately where all your stuff's going to come from.
Our American cousins do it so well, and one of the things I was taught is two personal, one business, two personal, one business, two personal, one business, and then try and combine the two. So if you're down at your son's football, right, have your logo top on and get that in the picture, and just little things, right? And they do it. Are the Americans a bit cringe? Yes, but are they much better at running individual brokers? 100%. They're
Yeah.
leaps ahead of us. Okay. Your third point, no one has ever brought up, for, and I think it is so important. Certainly, as you're like but off the call, you said, because you're a few months into doing this journey, right? And you said, I just want
Yeah.
to get to the end of each day and have fun. And that hit a nerve with me a little bit. So, what is your third point before I dive in?
Have fun.
Have fun, right? And most agents I know, if you were to say, "Do you have fun in what you do?" they'd probably say no. Certainly, if they've jumped over to a self-employed model and they're building a business because everyone's broke for the first year, it's scary and la 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 la. How do you ensure that you do have fun on a daily basis?
I just do everything that I do, I just try and have a bit of fun with. Like when I'm speaking to a seller, I'm not speaking to I try not to view it as this is a business conversation and everything's got to be, I just have fun. It's like I'm talking to a friend. Like
Yeah,
and I think authenticity is really important. I'm finding it difficult being on LinkedIn, because what I find with LinkedIn is it's quite stiff, and I'm putting stuff on there and I'm like, oh, is that really inappropriate? But I'm just kind of a bit like, well, I don't really, my lines are blurred with business and personal, really. So
yeah.
I I just think having fun, and I think people can see if you're being authentic and you're being real or not. I think it's quite obvious if someone's selling to you, isn't it?
Okay, fine. So, a couple of things there I quite like is if you're authentic, you don't have to change who you are or how you come across, and
No.
therefore you can just be you, which is fun, right? That's kind of what I'm taking from it.
Yeah, like I tell you what, your social media post was absolutely hilarious the other day. Like I don't know who it was, but one of your friends had defaced your board
Oh yeah,
on just obviously not actually defaced it, because obviously that will cost you money, but like just he'd screenshotted it and drawn
an
uh,
item on my
an
head.
item on your head. But for
Yeah,
me, I engaged with that post because I found it really funny. And I think everybody, when you're looking at your demographic, and my demographic, the majority of the people on my Facebook is generally women 35 to 44. And actually, they do enjoy the element of like everyone
yeah,
loves a bit of humor. We go on social media for entertainment, for fun, for interact with our friends. We don't go on social media to look for business posts. It's like walking into a pub, isn't it, and going, does anybody want to sell a house?
yeah. Do you know what? It's so true, and I battle with this quite a lot because I do like funny things and joking and prank and all that stuff. But I also like set up and founded the estate agency, and we have coming up to say 50 agents in the business. So I always try and do stuff that's authentic, but never controversial. And that was probably a little controversial in its own little way. But actually, I put it up, and the engagement I wanted on was it. Does anyone? Can we all come together as a group, as a collective, and work out roughly what percentage of buyer inquiries come from having a board up? And we got there from it, but also along the way, a load of people were laughing at it. So it kind of did
Yeah.
two things. And
Yeah.
what's really interesting is I'm trying to promote engagement in that group. If I'd have just put the question without the board, I wouldn't have actually got the responses. So
No,
yeah,
because I wouldn't have seen it.
no, no, no. So there we
Well,
go.
not saying it's just me, but like
No, no, I get it.
it
Or
caught
yeah,
it
it
caught my
pops, right?
attention.
It
Yeah,
stands out.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing what a pink penis on the head will do, right? So so there we go. I'll put a link to the group in the show notes. Good plug. Okay, listen, I've really enjoyed that. I'm gonna give you one final curveball, and it's kind of from like the have fun. How do you mental health is something that if I people say to me, why do agents fail in the self-employed model? It is a couple of things. Either they shouldn't have done it in the first place, but it's not that they run out of money. It's that mental health bit in the middle, right? Having followed your journey and seen the success that you're kind of having, I know it must be stressful. I know there must be. I've been through what you're going through many a time, right? So, what do you do to ensure that you do get to the end of the day and you have fun and you're in a good place at the end of the day? Because I'm sure there's lots of agents listeners thinking, how do I do it, or how do I get that balance?
Yeah, So I think it's really important not to say no to stuff. So I still go play netball. I still go and see my friends for coffee. I still take my kids. I take my kids to school now every day, and I pick them up every single day. Oh, I was just looking at the time actually.
Ooh.
Sometimes when I don't forget. And I think it's important to still do those things and not get too, like, because it's so easy to just sit down all day at your desk and get bogged down in all this stuff, but actually you're probably more productive when you've done the things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So, and I think I always like netball, whether it's running or whatever it is. I think don't get too caught up in, oh god, I've got to do this, I've got to do this now, because actually you're your own boss. So the only person that's going to be down your neck is yourself. I think people are too hard on themselves. I have had a situation. Probably maybe not should share it on here, but I'm gonna say it because it had me in tears. I was called. I had a meeting with two other EXP agents, and I got a phone call to my work phone, and it was a guy that was masturbating down the phone.
Wow. Okay.
No
Good.
joke, right?
I was expecting
And
that. Okay.
I know. I'm sorry. I probably should have pre-warned you about that. Um, and then I put down the phone and blocked the number because he'd sent me a text as well. I blocked the number and I called my husband. I left the meeting. I had this 2 hour. We were with this meeting for 2 hours. And when they left, I went into the toilets and I burst into tears. And I called my husband. I was, and I was like, "What's happened?" And I told him. It turns out that it's not a weird. Like, I'm not that special. This Have you heard of this Chantel woman in Women in Estate Agency?
Maybe ring half ring
Okay, so
out.
there's this woman that rings round loads of agents and basically does whatever she does on the phone to them, makes them feel really uncomfortable. And this guy, I put his number in, and apparently he does it to everyone.
Oh wow.
So that caught me off guard a bit because that did make me question whether I'd done the right thing.
And what got you?
Uh,
What got you past? Like, obviously, it was a stupid thing that an idiot did, but what got you past that and back in the saddle like the next day?
So after realizing, because in my mind started running away with me, I was like, "Oh, this guy knows where I live," because all my stuff, all my personal stuff's everywhere. I was like, "He knows where I live. He knows who I am. Like, what if he knows my kids? Oh God, just my whole." I was like, "I've done the wrong thing." But then when I Googled his number and then saw all these comments about
Yeah.
this guy, and they'd done exactly the same to everyone else. It just, I don't know, put things into perspective and then made me realize that actually one person just can't, you just can't let one person affect, what you want to do. So yeah,
100%.
had a bit of a
The
cry about that, but
the one thing I'm gonna kind of I'll close this the show, we'll call it close the show in a second. Sounds really professional, but actually, what I've just taken from that kind of last 5 minutes of conversation is, and I see this a lot, is you have to have the right support network around you, and
yeah,
again, mental health, having that person you can call straight away, key. But two, um, the engagement from netball, right? The camaraderie, the fitness,
yeah,
the dopamine hit, all of that stuff. It's really hard to get. It's really, people go, "Oh, I don't get involved in that," or "I've stopped going to the gym," or "I don't go and play rugby because I've set my own business up." That for me is almost a first class ticket to an issue with your business or mental health.
yeah,
Having that escape, that route, that focus, you've got to be present. You're not going to be focused on your cash flow or your next listing or whatever else when you're running around the court,
yeah,
court, field, whatever, netball
well,
court.
yeah,
There we go, got it right.
whatever you want to call it.
Um, and having that support and those outlets, I think, are absolutely huge.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's for me. If you don't have, you can have the best will in the world, you can have all the money, but if you don't have a sphere of people that are going to be your the people you can really lean on and your
Yeah,
outlets, then self-employed agency is not right for you, in my opinion. You've got to go and find that base first to make sure you're set
yeah,
up for success. So
agreed.
Really great tips. I really, really like it. Thank you for letting us delve into mental health at the end. That's the first time we've done it on the pod, so thank you. I've taken a lot from today. I'll be cheering from the sidelines. And if you ever want to come and join us, you know where we are. Jokes, kind of.
Other part of it.
No worries. I'll catch you in a bit.
All right, see ya.
Bye.